So it's very simple, I think. Very simple.
Good evening, everyone. I really thank the organizers and, of course, Mother Nature for making this happen for me. I really don't know why I am the chosen one, but also I realize that we all walk the path. My journey with spirituality kind of started maybe 2 decades ago. I was an entrepreneur, very passionate in Silicon Valley, almost working like a machine. I realized at some point of time that I developed a lot of psychosomatic pains because I was storing a lot of emotions. I wasn't letting them go. So there was a lot of action, but no reflection. I realized that primarily for me, it was really about a lot of tasks and activities and goals and getting things done. Really not enjoying what I was doing. I was not in the moment. That's kind of when this awakening happened for me, and from that time onwards, life has been really beautiful. I truly believe that the reward of performing a task should be the joy of performing the task. And that's kind of when your body, mind, and breath are together and magic happens. Thank you all again for this opportunity. Daji,
Thank you.
good evening, and thanks for this opportunity. If I end up asking any silly questions, you will have to forgive me. Yeah. So I think the first question, a lot of audience here are entrepreneurs, and they're all driven by data, knowledge, insights, which is all derived from the mind. And we are talking here about spirituality, which is fairly abstract for many of us out here. So if you can probably demystify the science of spirituality for us, we're all very beginners in this journey, maybe not all of them, but many of us here. That would be a great beginning of this conversation.
Well, good evening, everyone, and my hearty pronouns and my special hearty welcome to the entrepreneurs who are gathered here. I hope and pray that you really get inspired to take on with this abstract journey. In reality, is not really abstract. Once you experience it, and once the experience gets crystallized in your heart, it becomes concrete, undeniable. Hitherto, meaning before the experience, the belief systems keeps us engaged with abstract ideas. Can a buffalo think of a cooked food? Though there is cooked food. If they were thinking, they would say, oh wow, cooked food is an abstract idea. Villager, can they think of certain things that modern techies are able to do? They'll say that's also abstract. But when you actually go through it, it's no longer abstract. Similarly, when experience, rather the belief gets crystallized through experience, you no longer then depend on the mere belief. It's like I see Satish. I don't have to believe that Satish is with me. When I experience the presence of divinity, I don't need to believe in the abstract concept of godliness. I feel the presence. So there is a big difference between this ritualistic approach in religion versus experiential approach in spirituality. But where does this journey end? Does it end with spirituality where you experience divinity? No, it continues. Experience also gets transcended. For example, when we believe in divinity, in godliness, through the help of a capable guide, once we begin to experience divinity within and in the rest of the world, now our journey begins. True journey begins. Otherwise, we keep breaking our head with the external worship and still remain frustrated with a lot of questions in the heart. All kinds of questions. Spirituality answers those questions. Later on, you also get fed up and frustrated with the experiences. If you happen to visit a very wealthy person's residence or his private island and happen to spend 3 months, 4 months there, how would you feel? You'll feel great. Oh wow, I'm having a great time spending 3 months, 4 months. You are experiencing a very rich hospitality. But deep down within you, you'll be longing, oh, I wish I was also as rich. So, rich experiences versus becoming rich, they're two different things. Experiencing divinity through spirituality is one thing, and to become divine oneself is yet another matter. So the journey continues. Then you may also ask what becomes after that. After that also there are stages where you truly renounce what you become as a process. And afterward, you can speak nothing about it. Because words cannot fully justify the experiences we have after renouncing one's own self. People talk of renouncing the world, but it is, I think, for a lot of people, to renounce oneself becomes such a very heavy idea to digest, but it's extremely blissful and beyond, where even Sat Chitanand state becomes mere shadow.
Yeah. No, so I think it starts with awareness and obviously acknowledgement of that awareness and eventually action. And like I said, some of us have been on the journey for a little while, if some of us are beginning the journey, and like what you said, experiencing divinity and then going beyond. Since the theme of this conference and a lot of people in the audience are entrepreneurs, I want to move on to the next topic, which is more the anatomy of an entrepreneur. You've been one, you kind of translated your vision and dream, and we're seeing it right here, how it manifested. So founders push boundaries, founders create, obviously, new economies, new products, new services. Are founders or entrepreneurs differently wired? Would love to hear your perspectives in terms of whether it is their emotional or mental makeup, and what does it take for entrepreneurs to harness these qualities to become even better?
Well, we are all gifted with the right wiring at a neurological level. Unless and until one truly becomes successful in life, and this successful idea of success is very relative, comparative. To me, what success means is that does it bring you joy when you are attempting to do that? If that gives you profound joy, then that's your success. Success is not in just making money. I read a beautiful statement that says, he's, he has only money, he's so poor. So, if your goal is to make tons of money, I really pity you. But if your goal is while making money, you are enjoying and contributing something to your surrounding, to yourself, to your family, to your community, and on a larger scale, to the Mother Earth, then I would say you are a true entrepreneur. Otherwise, just making money, you become self-centered, and I would not use other bad word. But you can add all those bad words in your mind. You become that.
And how does one go about translating their vision into reality? And how did your journey, kind of transform from healthcare, being in US, all the way to Khana and the path of, your journey? How did that happen? How did you design your own destiny?
Well, anyone can become spiritual. You may be a housewife, or you may be just a cab driver, or one of you, the entrepreneurs. Because spirituality itself accommodates itself into everything. When we try to separate these two dimensions and work with them separately, then the problems begin. Right thing to do is to integrate whatever you are doing in your daily life, but make spiritual qualities, spiritual way of life, a part of your entire life. Let material life or the things that we do for our sustenance be a part-time affair. Let spirituality become a full-time affair, 24/7. And it is very easy, very, very easy. Once we meditate in the morning for a few minutes, it triggers within us a spiritual state. We remain grateful to the giver who has gifted us such a spiritual gift, and we remain in osmosis with that spiritual state during our daytime. While you are working, you are in a direct contact with your heart's condition. You're talking, you're working, you're with your friends, enjoying meals, you're cooking meals. At the same time, your subcurrents inside are guiding you. You are in a constant osmosis with the new state that you have acquired in the morning. It is not something that you go to a temple, bow your head down and think that you have done your job and to hell with God in a corner and you do whatever you want to do in your office. That is not even religion. That is prostitution. You are using someone, here the idol, not even God. You promise something, you barter something with that, and then move on. I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, but I need something in return. So we make transaction in with religious life. To what extent would you like to express your foolishness, absolute ignorance and stupidity? Shraddha, rather under the name of Shraddha, you do all kinds of things that make really no sense. On one side, you praise Gita, you praise Vedas and Upanishads, and you swear on them. How many of us really understand them, even a superficial meanings? When Krishna says, Antaryamin, what do you mean by Antaryamin? Approach me, the one who is within you, who is within your heart. When Arjun very gratefully says, you have blessed me with your Vishwarup darshan, but please come back. I can withstand this universal form that you are showing me. Come back to our friendlier form. So he denies the divine personification or manifestation of Krishna and says, come back to your usual form. Then he asks a fundamental question. How shall the generations after us will experience your presence? Krishna says, Hridaya me pashyasi. Perceive myself in your heart. And when we read words like Antaryamin, means God that dwells within me. And where are we searching? Entrepreneurs, where are you searching? Outside. If your direction is wrong, how can your journey be successful? How can it take to your destination? Or are you just doing just to fulfill and somehow oblige your parents or whosoever you are believing in? It is good to perform your own dharma, even if it is wrong, meaning your duty, rather than performing somebody else's dharma, meaning again the duty. You have all played with jigsaw puzzles, no? In jigsaw puzzle, there are so many pieces, you have to connect them and complete the whole picture. And if you want to cheat in the game and you cut it to your need and fit it in at every time, what will happen to that game? No compromise at any level with the puzzle we are trying to solve in life. No shortcuts, no cutting the pieces. You as entrepreneurs, I wish you a great success. But make sure you are really enjoying it and use that, what you earn, wisely. There's absolutely nothing wrong in making money. If you have the ability of making million, make billion. Go ahead. Use them wisely. That's the only call of spirituality. Use it with a purpose.
Thank you for that, Raji. You know, they say that it's the purpose that brings the people together. And we've seen that even in the entrepreneurial journeys. Initially, it's the lone entrepreneur with the purpose, with the vision, with the dream, and then many others join them. And together they kind of make that progress. And we've also seen, and we talk about pay comes the last. I mean, the benefits of what you're doing comes the last. And if you dilute the purpose and then people move on and you don't end up making progress. But the key question is, how do people find that signal? There is so much noise around. There's so much noise that's thrown, and today we live in the age of AI. How do entrepreneurs go about catching the signals and letting go the noise?
What we call aberrations. Meditation somehow teaches us, makes us, actually transforms us, helps us center ourselves. Even under the most chaotic life, you can still center yourself. You remain unshakable. That's what Krishna talks about when he talks about sthita pragya. Despite of the things that happens all around you. It is through this yoga, means through dhyana, through meditation. You arrive at a state called sthit pragya, where your intellect is more balanced. So that's the only way. Meditate, meditate, and meditate. But not just any meditation. You are all having scientific approach. We are all data-driven individuals. You like to see the outcome. What are the results? Can they be quantified? Spirituality can also be quantified to a certain extent. How many of you are medical students or medicine background? Oh, very few. Thank you. So I'll have to change the example. But I can bring some medicine so it becomes interesting for you. You can learn something. Let me start with this example. When you are thinking very rapidly, very fast, so you are given some problems and you keep on dissecting it and you keep thinking about it, and you are given half-hour time to solve the puzzle. Your mind is on hyperdrive. What happens then if you are put under fMRI machine? Because of the fast thinking, the conduction between these nerves through synaptic bridges is very rapid. So the firing is constant. And this, because of this constant firing of microelectric currents, it produces magnetic field. So here we have electromagnetic field. Faster the thinking, faster the change in electromagnetic field, that can be measured. If you're thinking very fast, like little children, before you even answer them, they come up with the next question. Like that, Maybe it's 40 to 50 hertz, this per second, it will be noticed. When you're reading a nice book and you're so absorbed in reading a book, your thinking slows down to maybe 15 to 20 hertz per second if you measure your waves.
The waves, yeah.
When you are about to go to sleep, it further slows down to 7 to 10 hertz per second. When you are in deep sleep, maybe 3 to 5 hertz per second. That basal magnetic field always remains because there are other physiological activities that continues even during our sleep. But our awareness, it is almost nil at that moment. You are in deep state of sleep, but unaware. Now, when we meditate, let us see there is form A of meditation, form B, form C, form D, or let's call it Sadhguru's meditation or Sri Sri Ravi Shankar's meditation or Brahma Kumari's or Transcendental or Vipassana, Heartfulness. You can have 10 candidates from each system, all new, the system, so that it remains unbiased. You measure the effect of that very process of meditation and measure that under fMRI. See how fast your brain slows down, how deep can you go in meditation. That means, depth means extreme slowing down of your thoughts almost to zero. Right? Then you will be in a state like deep sleep state. But here is a difference. In sleep we go deep but unaware. In a real samadhi state, you go very deep but you are fully aware. At that moment, your brain waves will be 3 to 5 as if you are sleeping, but you are not sleeping. And that's what Lord Krishna talks about. And Yoga Shastras also talks about that such a level of consciousness is called Turiya state. So it can be quantified to a certain extent. But what really happens beyond Turiya, it cannot measure it, see. Hopefully in future, maybe you entrepreneurs can find some way of quantifying such refined states of consciousness. After all, consciousness is going to be a big game changer in the future. AI versus human consciousness.
That's profound knowledge. Actually, you're awake, you're sleeping, you're in a state of dream and turiya, what you talked about. And all of these beta, alpha, theta, delta waves at different frequencies and different amplitudes, and how they set up the endocrinology of the human body system.
Yes.
Today, I think if you really look at the longevity studies, they are looking at outside of health screening, they're looking at cognition, mobility, sleep, and nutrition. And entrepreneurs are inventing, Muse headbands. Like you exactly said, one wears a Muse headband and meditates. They can monitor their own frequency, the wave's frequency, and still they're very, very alert, even though they are in a deep kind of restful state. One of the key things, I know it sounds very silly, I think most of the entrepreneurs they're juggling with too many things. I mean, they are building products, raising capital, hiring teams, and they believe that they have time poverty. How does one go about, kind of making that adjustment to accommodate and assimilate heartfulness into their daily routine? Because there's going to be significant benefit by doing that.
I share with you my personal life, my routine. When I was a student, I joined pharmacy in 1974, and sometime in 1976, I stumbled upon this system. One of my friends says, let's go and meditate. There is one preceptor who can put you in trance right away. I said, okay, let's go. So I was introduced to this system. I fell in love with the system from the very first session and never looked back. That initial experience was so profound, I didn't need any more further proof. So I began meditation every morning, and as I meditated more and more, in the sense on a regular basis, on a daily basis, what I could understand and grasp in comparison to our other friends, they were slogging, they were reading and reading and reading and always under tension. Often I would go to examination halls without pre-preparations. I would just go in. One study is enough. So you are able to grasp and understand things faster. Meditation makes your mind very focused. It opens up different level of intelligence. That's one thing. In a professional life, in the business world, I didn't stop meditating. I continued even while running pharmacies in New York City. In New York City, perhaps, I think Hyderabad surpasses the traffic of New York, so you can understand. At times it can be really, really bad. You can get stuck for half a day on a road. So we were always rushing in the morning. But even while rushing, you had that settledness within you. See? And when I meditate in the morning, the whole day's program comes sometimes to my mind. Ye karna hai, ye karna hai, ye karna hai. And all of a sudden, it flashes on you. Don't do this. Rather do this. You're going to do it this way, now you do it this way. So we are able to remove unnecessary things from our schedule. That's number one benefit. Number two, something that you are going to complete in certain way, when you focus, when you are settled within yourself, it shows you a new perspective, a different idea that can be sorted and more efficacious. In many ways, it saves us time. By making things better ahead of time, you don't learn things after making mistakes. It prevents you from making mistakes. It refines your intellect, makes you understand the whole concept. Otherwise, in order to understand the concept itself, you spend days. So you save really tremendous time. You will have plenty of time, then you will say, what to do with this time now? Meditate.
No, that's absolutely great. I think because in your book I read it's effortless focus and how things obviously appear very, very clearly, and how there's that clarity of thought and clarity of mind. Before I open it up for a few questions, from the audience, I just want to move to just one last topic. A lot of us as entrepreneurs, and there are many, many successful entrepreneurs and role models here, in the audience. One thing that we all struggle with, how do you balance respect and love? And this is a question that I've always asked, because respect kind of commands distance and love bears no separation. How do leaders or entrepreneurs go about balancing this?
Don't try too hard. I wouldn't waste time in she doesn't love me or he doesn't love me. Forget all that. If you keep waiting for love to arrive on your plate, it is never going to arrive. Your demands will go on increasing. This vessel inside that says, I need love, can never be fulfilled. Instead, with one single stroke, you can change your life. Respect others and love others more than yourself. Don't expect others to love you. Pour your love out. That's the biggest mistake we made, is we expect a lot of love to come back to us. It's the biggest fallacy, and that's why no one is happy today. Because of this expectation.
Great. We can take some questions, maybe from the audience.
Daji, extremely grateful to have heard you, and it's a great pleasure being here. As an entrepreneur, we have highs and lows, more of lows than highs. How do we kind of balance out our emotions and detach ourselves to an extent where the lows don't hit us so bad?
Well, lows are good in life. Stress is good. Anxiety is good. To a certain extent, of course. Imagine if you didn't have such lows and anxieties and stress. Would you be still working on a project?
Probably.
You won't, because it is the anxiety and some sort of a push from within that gives you that feelings of low. But if you had accomplished something, then that feeling will disappear. So, this low feeling or anxiety feeling, do I myself feel it? Very, very, very rare actually. In my earlier days, now the moon can fall in the ocean and there can be the whole ocean engulfing the earth. It wouldn't shake me today. The earth can split into two halves, nothing will split me today. Let it be. Have faith that having the Lord Dharma on my side, I'll be victorious. This victory is not in the form of success that you anticipate, but as the Lord anticipates. Have that much of faith. Even in failure, have this much of faith that this will lead me to something more profound. So, we have to arrive at such a state where we are absolutely surrendered. At the same time, we are working like never before with a lot of joy. So this combination of faith in the Lord and hard work from my side. Keep on at it. You won't have time to worry then, see.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My questions may seem very practical, but it's actually a very spiritual question in terms of this is Heartfulness Institution is a very entrepreneurial, this itself is an entrepreneurial institution. And now one of the biggest things for an entrepreneur is to understand succession planning. You know, how do you prepare the institute to go on with or without you? In this, how were you chosen and how do you choose? What is the process of succession planning for Heartfulness Institute?
If I have to choose my successor who can take over and guide others in the future, I can perhaps make a mistake. I may become partial, somehow may get influence at a human level, but my predecessors who are not here, but they are in the brighter world, they give the signal, they communicate and say, now you appoint this person. So this is the tradition of Heartfulness, where the masters who have passed on, they communicate and designate a person for you. I was chosen not by my master, but by his master, who happened also to be my master in the past. He told him, prepare this person. So, and it's beautiful. There is no way of making mistake.
Naji, in your book, you had mentioned there are enough successful people, but the world needs more normal people. This is one sentence that has intrigued me for so long. I couldn't understand. On the other side, I feel building business is easy, but building family is difficult. Being businessmen, being entrepreneurs, how do we balance family and business? Can we have them both?
Yes, Sahasmarg, the Heartfulness way, it prescribes this very fundamental thing, not to differentiate your spiritual life from your family life and worldly life. Integrating is the way to go. Normalcy and success. What is normal life? Where one runs a family in the best possible way. One who prioritizes things in one's own life in a natural order. What is my natural tendency as of now? And what should I have to make myself a normal individual? So, you may have whatever the idea that this is what is called normal. But look, contemplate, meditate over, is it really normal? or is it abnormal? Is making money normal or abnormal? It is not abnormal. So we put all our efforts making money, but abnormality comes in when it becomes beyond the moderation, robbing our family of the time they would require of me, for example. It's okay in the beginning for a year or two, you slog out and stay away from family for some time. And perhaps that's why most people are postponing their marriages. But having married, don't stay too far for a long time. Otherwise, you'll regret. But the hormonal pressure is on both sides, you see. You may be busy, she may not be busy. She has her own physiological needs, and if you cannot provide, somebody else will provide. And there will be chaos in your marriage then, see. So prioritize what is really important for you. Is that happiness of a family or going overboard in making money? So you have to choose that. And I think when we meditate, even for 5 minutes, it makes you look within. It makes you reflect in that mirror that we have in the heart. It will tell you how ugly you look or how happy you are, how joyful you are. It will also tell you where you need to make adjustments. If you are paying too much time with the family also, it will tell you, no, that's enough, don't do too much. Meditation normalizes our entire life. Enough is enough in every field. My master used to tell us, meditation, no more than an hour. It's enough. If that few minutes of meditation doesn't grant you peace, harmony within, then understand you are doing something wrong with meditation. Find the right path. I have shared with you comparative studies of various systems. Likewise, you can spend 5 weeks perhaps, pick 5 different systems. Follow those protocols. Just within 5 weeks, you will come to your own conclusion that this is good for me. What is good for me? Heartfulness. And I try to practice something else, it may not be good. For you, something else may be better than heartfulness, but without experiencing, don't come to a conclusion because someone says so, it's so good. You should have your own experience and conclude that what can normalize in your life, what can make your life happier and more joyful.
Thank you so much, Daji. With all love and gratitude, sincere thanks. Let's all, give a big round of applause and
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.